Hi everyone, Emma here. I'm so excited to show you how to bezel a 12mm Rivoli that I got from Beebeecraft. So I got a set of these 12mm Rivolis, and they are a variety of colors. And this is just some of the ones that I went ahead and bezeled. I wanted to try to challenge myself to bezel them all, and actually I got pretty close to bezeling them all. I didn't put them all out. There's a whole bunch more that I bezeled. So I'm just about done on the 12mm. I also ordered some 14mm, and they were I will put the links to these 12mm and the 14mm, as well as the other items that I got from Beebeecraft. I will be showing you some more videos on that as well. Yeah, they're amazing. I'm just stunned. You can see how incredible they are. They are so beautiful. The colors are amazing. So there's variation in the color too. So that this one's turquoise, this one's like a dark teal color, and this is what it looks like on the back. So what I wanted to do too, by challenging myself to bezel them all, I feel like I'm not the best at bezeling, and every time I see a video, I'm like, oh, I want to try that, and I'll try a couple, and I run into problems setting the stone. And actually, I didn't leave out a stone, so let's grab one here. And so yeah, I have trouble with getting it positioned, and so I get frustrated. So I wanted to show you how to do it, just because I hear the same thing from other people that they're having issues. Let's do that one. It's nice and light colored. So yeah, so I practiced this and I watched a bunch of videos. So this is just to let you know I'm not an expert at this, but if you do a bit of research, and all that takes is looking at some YouTube videos, and get different opinions on how to do it, and then test it out which one works for you. So what you're going to need is you're going to need your 12mm, and I don't have the packaging with me, so I just want to make sure that I'm saying this right. Yeah, those are 12s. So so you need your Rivoli. You're going to need size 11/0 delica beads, and I say that you need these. You can do it with 11/0 round beads or Toho beads, but I'll tell you, that's where one of the frustration was for me. So I found, like, I tried all the different ways you could do it, and I found the one that was the most accurate was with straight up delicas. And that's because these delicas are, first of all, super uniform. They are actual delicas. They're not like knockoffs of a delica. And let's see if we can show you what that looks like. So they are super uniform and flat. So they sit flat against your bezel so that they'll stay on. Okay. So that was the one thing that I learned from all of that. And then you're going to need some 15/0 rounds, and that's the other one that I found was important, is to use round, like a Czech round bead is the other thing. Now again, you can use other beads to do this with, but definitely doing it with these two things here are going to make it easier for you until you practice it some more and learn a little more on what works for you. Then you can move on to all the different things, that all the exciting stuff. So the other important part to this is with a 12mm, you want 30 beads on to start your peyote. So let's get some beads on here. And as well with this, it's important that you count your stuff multiple times. I can't tell you enough. Even when I was counting, I ended up with a mistake, and you only notice it when you get around to the end of your first round, and then it's like kind of too late to do anything about it except take it apart. So I'm at 15 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 20. If you are an expert bezeler, please give us your tips and tricks. There's so much about it that I found when I was looking at the different videos that surprisingly I had questions, and they're thorough in their videos. Like somebody like Stephanie from Bronze Pony is amazing. And there's some of the ladies from Italy do a lot of bezeling, and they were amazing. So this is what you have. There's your 30. Now what I just want to say to begin with, let me get my light here because I'm seeing some shadows. This is just what worked for me after practicing. So don't feel like this is like the end all and be all of this. So if I say this is what you do next, it's suggested. And so one of the things that most of them do is they go up a few beads to get away from your stop bead. So that was the other thing. I'm using about from your nose to your elbow length. That's about half of an arm's width for a bezel. That's all you need. That you'll have plenty at the beginning and the end. And I put my stop bead on, and what I figured was I left just enough that I could weave it back in at the end. Now, some people will leave more on this side so that when they do the one side of the bezeling, then they use the other piece to do the other side. So you're both sides you can pull tight. I did it with just the one side of the pulling tight on both sides of your bezel. That's like this side here. Say this is the first. Actually, this is always the second side for me. So I always start with the back side. So I'll start with this here, pull it tight, and then put the back side of my Rivoli in there, and then bring my thread to the front and do the front side. And I just found that that worked the best to keep the shape the way I wanted. So let's go ahead and get started here. So I'm gonna go through 2. I like to go through 2 because then I'm away from the stop bead, and I also remember that I don't know what it is about even numbers. I always remember better. If I were to go through 1 or 3, it wouldn't work for me. So I'm just going through the 2 like that, and then I'm gonna pull everything around into my circle. I did see some videos where they do, they go through everything again and then go past the stop bead. And I did that, but I was using thicker thread, and I found it was super difficult to get through and to get a nice shape. So you can think about that. And I'm just using size 6 dragon thread. And I'm using, I'm not sure what needle this is. It feels a bit thick. I'm pretty sure a size 12 would work. So, because we're not going through multiple times. So now we're going to start our peyote stitch. So our thread's coming out of this bead here. So we're going to skip this bead and go through this one. So let's pick up an 11/0 like that, delica, and go through. So you skip the next one, go through the next one like this. And I'm just going to hang on to it. I like to keep my finger on it so the shape, it positions where I want it. So there you go, you have them side by side. And then we're just going to do that all the way around. So we're going to pick up an 11/0. We're coming out of this bead here. We're going to skip the next one and we're going to go in. So skip this one and go in through this one. The other thing that they mention is about leaving about one bead width away. And because I have a stop bead, I really don't need that. And I found that the shape of it, of like the positioning of these two beads that are side by side, tend to stay in place if it's not tight but secure. If it was loose, those would kind of bounce around and then your shape would look funky at the end. So let's keep going. So skip one, pass through the next one, and pull through. And I hold it like this so that I can hang on to my thread here, so I know where I'm going. Pick up an 11/0, and coming out of here, you're going to skip that one and go through the next one. That. So let's see if I can do that, show it to you without my finger in the way. So coming out of this one, skip that one and go in through the next one. There. Okay. And the next. And do that all the way around. And I'm going to do it all the way around with you because I don't have a pause button on my camera. I'm using a tablet, and I don't do any edits either because I'm using the tablet. I upload directly to YouTube. So in case you're wondering about that, that's why I could still upload to my computer and then edit it and then upload it to YouTube. That takes takes hours just to upload it from my tablet, which is ridiculous because it doesn't take that. It takes 15 minutes to upload it directly to YouTube. So that's, I always say, like, there's people out there that do incredible, beautiful, perfect videos, but what it does for me is it allows me to make more videos. So I'm not spending time editing stuff. So just keep going around. Through that one. These delicas, I'll put the name of them in the link. I'll tell you, I have been searching for gold and silver delicas. Now, I think I did get some silver delicas from Amazon in bulk from a place in Toronto, Canada. But I'm having a hard time finding like not real gold, but real gold color. These are actually inside silver lined. And you know what? You cannot tell that they're not gold from a distance. They look like gold, and especially next to the gold seed beads. So, and they're so much cheaper. So if you're interested, I'll put the name of this bead color. So now this is where it gets confusing because of course we're at the stop bead. So our thread is coming out of this bead here. We're going to skip this one. We're going to go in this one. But if you look, wait a minute. These should be side by side. Let me see if I can scooch them up and make sure they're there. Here. Sometimes if you pull this piece here, it straightens them out. Yeah. Okay, so pick up your delica. You're coming out of this one. You're going to skip this one. You're going to go through this one, but we're also going to step up at the same time through this one so that we can start going around with our rounds. So skip this first one past the stop bead. Go through this one. Let me just use my fingernail to kind of poke it out so that my needle can get in. Okay, so there's that one there. But we're also going to go up this way through the next one, and then we're set to go for the next. If your stop bead gets in the way, I just take my nail and pull it out a bit like that. It won't get like loose or anything like that. You can pull it if you want. So just go like that. So at this point, some people will start to use their thumb and pull tight on their next set of beads to make this kind of rounded. I don't do that, and I'll tell you that's the trick I found to consistency. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a full round of the round seed beads, and then we're going to put our second round. And when we put our second round, we can actually either put our Rivoli in there to kind of position where we want things, or you can leave it out. And this is what I've been doing, is leave it out, get everything in there, pull it, but hold it with your thumb, and just pull it enough to curl this up, then add your Rivoli, but we'll get there. So let me move these guys over here. So pick up an 11-0. Coming out of this delica, we're going to go into the next one. And just position it like that. Everything's still flat. And go all the way around. Just like that. And so you can see how quickly you can do these. So that's the other thing too that I noticed was different. Sometimes they put more rows of the delicas, and then the ones that I found were more successful was they only had 2 rows of delicas. So the one that you thread on and then the one that you weave on. So I should do like tip number 10, countdown to bezeling. Can you tell I've been watching a lot of videos? I'm trying to think. Somebody was doing, I came across a video where it was their favorite shopping places, and I was kind of surprised at what they were suggesting was their shopping places, because they're really expensive. But and then the final one, I thought, oh, I've never heard of that store, so I looked it up, and yeah, it was very strange. The prices were ridiculous. Like, You know, sometimes you can get some good deals on Amazon, but for the most part, I find the beading supplies on Amazon very expensive. Now, I'm in Canada, so that might be. So this one's out of place again. Let's see if we can get these guys side by side. And let's pull that a bit. And it could be displacing that second bead here because it's on a turn. So no worries, just put it in there. It's your next one. There. Okay. The next one. So here's the other thing too. When you're doing this, each time you add another row, your step up bead is going to be one further away from the stop bead. So just, you know, if you're looking for where it is, you're like, oh, wait a minute, that's all messed up. So that's an area that I find where the step up bead is, was an area that I would have trouble with a lot. So we are on our, this one here. I don't know if this is, yeah, I should, this is my step up here. So don't make that mistake. Don't make the mistake I just made. So now we're on our second row of our 15 seed beads. So now we can, I do 3 beads and then pull a bit to round it. But again, you don't have to do it at this point either. So just keep going around. So it is kind of rolling a bit at the other end. It doesn't take much for it to tighten. There. I'm going to leave it as, you know, relatively flat. And because I want to show you something that I figured out as I was doing this. Because a lot of the videos, I'm pretty sure most of them, show at this point you have to start tightening. And I found that if you're new and you don't know how much to tighten, you might tighten a lot, you might tighten a bit. And what that does is if you're doing more than one Rivoli, sometimes you'll have the front has like one set of beads in, or because you've created it too tight, it has 2 sets of beads, but your other Rivoli will only have one. And I'll show you an example of some of them, because I kept like looking at it going, I know I've used the same amount of beads. Why is one fitting better than the other? And that's what it was. I was pulling too tight. So that's another kind of area where you learn as you're doing it where your tension is to keep it the same. Keep going here. And through here. And one here. And then one more. Let me see. Okay, so that's what it should look like. So let's take a look at what we have here. So you can see it's quite, there's still some space here. So if we tried to do that now, this is what would happen. It would kind of pop through. So what I do is I start to pull this thread that we were weaving with and bring it. So you see how it's pulling this down. Let's see if I can. So always pull in the direction of the way the thread was being woven. You can see, you can kind of roll it in a bit there, that. Okay. And let's see what we have here. So try and get it nice and rounded here. There, like that. Okay, so now you have like a little bowl or cup. So because I wanted to do the back side first, so I'm going to put it in there. You can do it whichever way you want. And now that is your perfect fit. So you can, let's take a look at the back side here. So this is what the back side looks like. So you could put the front there as well. But I kind of like doing it the other way around. I think because doing it the other way around, then I can be more accurate with where my beads are placed in the tension on my thread. So let me just show you an example of pulling too tight. So here's one that I pulled really tight, and these look like different sizes, and they're the same size. But you can see where like it's, you know, misshapen, and like that's crazy, the difference in the size. And I mean, this is, let me see if I added a row here. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I think I added a third row in here. So that's another reason to keep it slim. So, okay, so let's finish this off. I'm just going to hang on to that thread. So now my thread is on the other side. So let's flip it over and see where it's coming out of. Okay. So it is coming out of this bead here. So now I'm just going to look at what bead is on an angle next to it. So we can take this line here and go through them all. So go through here, there, and this last one here. And pull tight, like that. And now we're ready. Now you are like adding your beads backwards. Like you're not going that way. So, you know, it's up to you how you want to get to that side. Now I am going to pull this a little tight to make sure these guys are snug. Okay, like that. And let's put our round beads on. These are the 15 O's. So we are coming out of this bead here. We're going to go into the next. Like that. And just keep going. Go to the next one. So it is a bit awkward. Now, you can also do it this way. So now it's no longer awkward. But like that. There. And I just pull on my thread and turn it to move everything so I don't have to keep repositioning my fingers. Like that. So once you get the hang of doing these, then you can start adding like embellishment around the sides of these and attaching them to like a peyote strip for a bracelet, or you know, putting them together in a bracelet. Okay. And you're pulling a little bit on these, nothing major, but enough to keep it snug. So next one here. I'm just gonna scoot this down a bit. Next one. And let's move this stop bead out of the way. There. So you can see how these, okay, this one's the one that's the stop bead one. So just hang on to that. You can see how these, this color of gold really matches the 50 nose. Okay, so this is the end of our row. So we are coming out of this bead here. We're going to go into this one. We can go into that one and go up, step up. So I hope you can see that. Let me see if I can get this. Oh, there, that's better. Okay, so go through this one and step up. And I'll show you what that looks like. So at this point here, if you see, you can see more of the delicas on this side than you can on the other side. So that means that we probably pulled too much on this side and it slid everything over. So you can kind of just take your fingers and gently position them in the middle and then tighten that a bit. And a little bit out again. There. Okay, so now we're going to go around our second time. And the second time is where I'm really going to tighten things. So yeah, you can see it's getting a bit wonky on the back side. And that's from tightening too much. So let me just adjust this. Okay. So let's go back to this position. And this is our final row. That. And just keep going around. I'm not tightening too much. I think this part here could have been tighter, this area here, just to keep it in place. It's really sliding now. And you know, these, you know, as much as everything is the same when it comes to the size of the beads and the shape and whatnot, you're still going to get some differences. So don't stress out. Just do the best. If it's frustrating you, start all over. I found that trying to take it apart and you know, redoing it from a certain section, just unless I knew it was only a couple of moves back, otherwise you'll get frustrated. And this is supposed to be fun. And let me tell you, it's fun once you get it. So, you know, and that's the great thing about buying these. So these Rivolis had 50 in a package for about between $7 and $8. I think it was like $7.50 for the 12 millimeters and $8 for the 14 millimeter ones. So let me move this out of the way. So I've just been called to dinner. I said to her before, my wife said to her before I started the video, I said, I'm just going to do a quick video, so take the chicken out of the oven when it's done. I thought that meant don't interrupt the video. She never watches my videos. That's what she gets. No, I'm just kidding. She's great. She knows how much I enjoy doing this. Okay, so we're near the end here. So I think this is our last one. Like that. So that actually looks pretty good. It is a bit over down at this end here. And this is where I really pull tight so that you know what, you don't have to pull tight, but I don't like my bezels moving around. So there it is. So now all I do is, I'm looking where my thread is coming out of. So my thread's coming out of that side. From this bead here, I'm going to do the same as I did when I crossed over. I'm going to find the angle beads next to it like that. And pull that tight. Now I'm going to change direction, so I'm going to go across to the next one, and then I'm going to cross to the angle of the other beads like that. And you can do that a few times, or you can go further down. And that's it for that. I just cut that off. If you're going to bezel this to, like you have a design that you're bezeling it to, then you can keep those threads and use them. But I find that because I have so many of stuff like that, there's thread everywhere, that I find it annoying. So, like, you know what, just cut the thread off, and I'll put a new thread if I need it. So when I do have to add thread, what I do is, let me get this on here for a sec. I put a stop bead on my thread, and I don't leave a big tail. I just like maybe 2 inches, and then my stop bead, and I weave my different way through, and then do whatever I need to do and then cut it off. So then I can take where my stop bead was and just cut it right there, because I've already secured it a couple of, zigzags kind of thing. So it's coming out of this bead here. So this one here sometimes needs a bit of tightening, depending on, how you are weaving everything. Like you can see it's moving a bit. So at this point you can tighten this, and a good way to tighten, pick this up. So I'm coming out of this bead here. I'm going to cross over to the one beside it and pull it tight, then go through the middle one here. And you see how that snugged it up. Now I'm noticing there's a bit of a gap right here. So I'm going to go up the next bead on an angle, cross over and come back and tighten that one. So I'm going through this one, and I'm going to go on an angle. There we go, through those. And I'm going to go through this one here, like this. Come through these guys and tighten this one. There, nice and tight. And now we can just weave this through wherever. Go through this middle one and on an angle. There. And that's it for that one. Ta-da! So there you go. That's how easy it is, even with a little oopsie at the, around the stop bead, and the kind of moving around. And this is it. You can still move it a bit, so you can. What I was doing on some of them is when I had extra thread, I would go to the back again and tighten the back as well. And then once you tighten the front and the back, you're laughing. Then you can do all kinds of stuff. Let me see if I have one here to show you. You can do like this. So you can add a little picot, super simple. You just find the middle beads. You see how there's two side by side? Then there's these single ones. Just find the single ones, go through, come out the one, add 3 15-0 beads, go through the next one. Add 3 15-0 beads, go to the next one. And that's how easy this little picot is. And it looks like a beautiful starburst. So there you go. So thank you so much for joining me. And thank you so much to Beebeecraft for these awesome supplies. And start bezeling your Rivolis. Take care, everybody. Bye.